Hello and welcome all. We are back with my co-host, SYL Abdul. How are you doing?
I'm great. We're knee deep into this purple, so let's finish this off.
We are, yes, we are the penultimate episode. I kind of wish watching this, we just had a couple more episodes to go rather than one, because I think it would really benefit from just maybe 8 episodes would really kind of fleshed out the characters a little bit more to see where they're going. But yeah, we are nearly there.
We're there, and whether we like it or not.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm going to preface it this. We had mixed feelings about this episode. I think is the best way to put it. We've been generally very positive about this show up until now, but I think this is the one episode that both of us had a few issues with. So shall we jump into it?
Yeah, let's jump onto this Disney Plus formula here. All right.
Exactly, yeah. So as we know, it picks up pretty much exactly where the previous episode ends. So we have had Mark has been shot, and he is in this what we think is kind of like a purgatory. Really, he's in this kind of state where he's not quite dead, but he's not quite alive. He's kind of awaiting judgment, I think is the best way to put it. And that's where we first meet the character and the Hippo Goddess that we met from the end of the previous episode, Tarwet, which confused a hell of a lot of people, I think, when she first turned up.
Yeah, everyone's favorite, right? The Hippo Goddess shows up. Everyone is just shocked. We don't know what's going on.
What did you think of the character? Because I actually quite liked her. I thought she was quite endearing. I think she's probably the best CGI character we've had. Not that that's saying much if you're comparing her to the Jackal characters that we've had, but I kind of liked her. I thought she was quite interesting, and it's
Yeah.
very interesting to see their take on the Egyptian gods and kind of bringing that into the show.
Yeah, they said, how about, less Moon Knight, more Hippo Goddess? Okay, I guess. Yeah. Good
Shots
trade
fired.
off, I guess. That's where we're at right now, y'all. Episode
Yes.
5.
And I'm liking this because we still have this fantastic cast, and they're still driving the plot forward with their performances. But I think the biggest criticism that we have in a show called Moon Knight, there is no damn Moon Knight. Now, plot wise, that makes sense because he has no access to the suit at the moment, because Khonshu is still imprisoned in the statue. I just wish they had kind of made more use of the suit earlier on in the show.
Yeah, because now it's like it's setting up, and that's what we suspected last episode is that they got to pay all this off on the final episode. So, yeah, no Moon Knight this episode, really.
Couple of little snippets of him, but unfortunately, yes.
Got the Hippo Goddess, though. Yeah.
But we got the Hippo Goddess, yeah. So we have her turn up, and what she does is she guides people to the afterlife. This is her job. They're on this huge boat, and Stephen is fine with this because he knows exactly what's going on. He knows where they're heading. Mark, on the other hand, is having an absolute freak out.
That Steven, I've been liking Steven more and more every episode, especially last episode, the previous episode, episode 4. And again, it's probably Steven's best episode, but there's probably a reason that it's his best episode.
It is, yeah, and I'm really starting to like the character now. A lot of people very early on took a massive dislike to him because he was so kind of weak and so ineffectual. It was Mark who was the big, strong character who was the one that drove things forward. But I really like the juxtaposition between the two of them, and I think Oscar Isaacs is still working his ass off with these characters.
He's earning that check, most definitely, Oscar Isaac. So, hey, you should get an Emmy for this, bro. What they putting you through? Yeah.
And I really like the symbolism that they brought in, where she takes both of the hearts out, puts them on the scales with the feather, and throughout this whole episode, it goes back, and they're not balancing, so they have to figure out, what is going on. Why is your soul not balanced? And they come to the conclusion that because of what they've gone through the trauma Mark has had growing up, starting from when he was a very young boy, there's no way that he can balance without going back and reliving these memories and trying to get closure for what happened.
Yeah, it's almost like purging Steven. That's what I kind of
Mm-hmm.
felt. Is like, why does Steven exist in his psyche? You go to those traumatic events, really real traumatic events in a life of anyone. Losing a brother, losing a mother, and that really is what became of Steven. But it's like, man, like it's a little too deep for episode 5.
It is, and you pointed it out at the beginning. This is something that Marvel, the MCU, do with every show that they do. It's like episode 5 is their kind of introspective episode where they really delve into, the psyche of the characters, or they delve into the backstory, when what they should be doing is really kind of launching into the plot and, heading towards this kind of whatever climax they're heading towards. But all these episodes, they just kind of slam on the brakes.
And look, we always compare this to WandaVision, because that was the first sin, right, of Disney Plus, with these IPs to set up something and then subvert expectations. Like, no, we don't want that. No, that's like Star Wars. It's like, what's going on here? So, but they do it again right here, episode 5. Let's slam the brakes on the momentum. And it just didn't jive that well to me.
Yes, and I'm fine, getting the backstory of these characters, but as you say, really delving into it, and the loss of his brother, which is the little lad here, and it subsequently drives basically his mother insane. The loss of her child, and she blames him for it. So to kind of cope with the trauma that he's going through, we find out that he actually invents Steven to be this kind of perfect son, and whenever things get tough, he retreats back into this other personality, and Steven takes over, and everything's fine for him. He thinks his mother loves him. There's no problems. And that causes a lot of problems between Mark and Steven at the end of the episode as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this info about how Steven came about, it's important, right? It's just they could have done this like episode 2 or 3. You could have had flashbacks of this, explaining this. So it's like, to keep this off for like the penultimate episode 5, I just didn't like the placement of that story.
Yes, and we do get the origin of Moon Knight, which I thought was a pretty cool scene. This is probably one of my favorite scenes, where you see Mark, he's been betrayed. He's crawling towards the Temple of Khonshu, and Khonshu kind of talks him out of ending himself and says, be my avatar, be my vengeance, be my hands, be my eyes. And Mark doesn't really have any choice in the matter. It's either do that or die.
Right. As Steven realizes, because Steven and Mark are watching these memories, and Steven realizes, oh man, Khonshu manipulated you from the beginning, because he didn't know what he was really signing up for. Mark just wanted to live. So now that's, again, good backstory. It's good that Steven saw this as well, and then we get our 3 seconds of Moon Knight, and that's it, folks.
Yes, and it looks great. He puts the costume on, and there's Moon Knight. So,
all right, roll the credits.
But it was a very deep episode, and throughout the episode, we're getting flashbacks with Mark, and he's talking with Harrow, and Harrow's in this particular realm, he's the doctor who's in the pretense he's trying to help him, and he's saying you have to kind of relive these memories to make amends and to move forward as a person.
Yeah, so again, it's that Egyptian spiritual aspect here, like making amends. You're on your road to judgment, and I dig that. I dig that level playing like that. I cool stuff. It's just, man, it's terrible placement.
It was. It did make me laugh that he called him Ned Flanders, with the little mustache. I thought that was a pretty funny line. So.
And hey, Ethan Hawke was great. I mean, he's been to win every episode, so shout out to Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, he's been consistently strong in this, and it's kind of weird to have the villain in this, and he obviously is the villain. He's manipulating him just as much as Khonshu was. But there's so many levels to these characters. It's bizarre, and you're wondering, if this is all in Mark's mind, why is he having Harrow's character kind of help him to purge himself with these memories?
That's really weird, right? Maybe it's just showing the level of mental damage, right, that Mark Spector has, because he's envisioning his enemy. Ethan Hawke, give us some Kevin Bacon vibes too. Just kind of letting people. I'm getting a lot of Kevin Bacon vibes from Ethan Hawke. From I think he was in the X-Men First Class too. Ethan Hawke has great range. That's all I want to say.
Mm-hmm. He does, yeah. And as the episode progresses, we find out that Mark is estranged from his family. He didn't want to when his mother died. He didn't give it them, or he said, I won't give it the satisfaction of going and paying his respects, even though his father wanted him to. And this is the point where he has this absolute breakdown. It seems to be the point where these two personalities kind of split, and that's where he loses control over Stephen. So whenever he enters a stressful situation after, Stephen emerges, and as we've seen, this is something he's carried around with him since childhood.
Right. So Stephen realizes again that Stephen was created, right? That's traumatic creation by Mark. So Stephen's realizing he's not really real in a sense. And that's that realization. I guess it really picks up like right before the first episode, I'm assuming. When they kind of realize they're separate people or something.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you say, and this scene in particular was really good as well, because this is the scene where Mark is very resigned. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He's almost like, okay, our souls don't balance. I deserve this. This is my penance for killing all these people. And he's about to be dragged overboard and dragged into the sand, where he'll be frozen for all time. And then Stephen's like, no, I am you as well, so I'm going to fight for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was that classic, moment where we know Stephen's the created person, so it was predestined that he had to sacrifice himself right here to balance the scales, to purge Stephen and move forward, right? So it just kind of sucks to see it play out, but you knew the whole time. I knew the whole time. Okay, well, Mark is the real person. He told Stephen, "You're made up." So for this to go forward, Stephen has to grow a sack, but then jump overboard. So
yes, and I think a lot of people will see Stephen in different light after this, and I know it's probably not worth bringing up, but we still have these hints of this third personality that they have not addressed throughout this show.
Again, Disney Plus, come on now. Like, if y'all gonna do 6 episodes, all right, let's talk about this budget. Let's get 8 to 10 episodes, and you can flesh the story out. Because man, this last episode, you're gonna be jam-packed with reconciling Stephen gone, a third personality, and are we gonna get more Moon Knight more than 3 minutes? That's all.
That's it. Yeah, we need to get Khonshu back. I'm assuming Layla's going to be back. We need to wrap up the plot with Harrow and Ahmet, who is presumably out at this point. Because you can see souls raining down from the sky who have been judged unfairly. And to top it all off, as you correctly say, poor Stephen gets dragged overboard into the sand, where he succumbs and freezes.
I just started liking the chap, as you say, across the pond there. And man, he grew a pair. He stepped up, and obviously to sacrifice himself. So
yeah, it was actually pretty moving. And then the episode ends with him in the field of reeds, which is kind of like the paradise that you end up in once your soul is balanced and you've been judged. So the only way that he could have progressed, and presumably will get to get back to Khonshu, was to lose this other personality. which is a real shame because I like Steve, and I put my hands up. I think he was actually a good character.
His arc was actually really good, and shout out to Purple giving us this context to this field of dreams here, or whatever this is. His soul is balanced, so okay.
I am very curious as to see where they're going to take this final episode. Hopefully, because this was such a kind of introspective episode, because we really kind of delved into the backstory and why he is the way he is. We'll get a lot more, I suppose, context exactly of these characters. I just wish that this had been either the first or second episode, and then we can really get into the action and Moon Knight.
Oh my, like literally this could have been episode 2 or part of episode 2 before they went on this little tomb journey. Like they literally could have done this. It's terrible placement to me for a show that we both like, Purple, right? Like
we do. Yes, we genuinely do.
Placement. Yeah, and it did nothing but slam the brakes, as you say, for a series.
It is, and it is a shame, but I still liked it. I thought there was some great set pieces. The performances are still very strong, especially from our lead. I thought the CGI was a lot better in this as well, especially with the Goddess. She looked much better than previous characters we've had, and I'm including Khonshu in that, because there's a few shots where he's not looking that great either in previous episodes, but I thought on the whole it was a strong but much slower paced episode than we needed at this point.
Yeah, just not well placed, right? Like this episode belongs in this series. Like we do need this backstory. So I get that. But at this moment, the momentum that we was going through for the last, 3 or 4 episodes here, we needed more here. So that's what threw me off. But yes, Oscar Isaac, again, give this man an Emmy, because, man, he made you believe he was playing 2 different characters and they weren't the same person. Great job, Oscar Isaac. Again, I blame the showrunner for the placement of this episode.
Yes, and we will see. Obviously, we've got 1 episode left to go, how they kind of rectify this, and hopefully it goes out with a bang. And I would really like to see more of Moon Knight. So if we do get, Werewolf by Night, which they were still kind of hinting at, that maybe we'll get a cameo in the final episode. If not, I hope he shows up in subsequent MCU shows, because I genuinely like the character, and having watched this has made me want to kind of delve into the character in the comic books, and he's one of those characters that I knew about but never really read, so at least I can say thank you to that show for this.
Yeah, I mean, definitely my interest is more piqued in Mark Spector, the whole Moon Knight persona, so looking forward to that. Werewolf by Night, if they kind of take this approach where it'll be actually a film, they dive into the psyche of Werewolf by Night, I'm all on board. I'm all on board with the approach. It's just the presentation. This series kind of, I don't know how they kind of dropped the ball with the pacing of the series, with this episode. That's my only problem right now.
But on the whole, still enjoying this show, and I am looking forward to the final episode. I think it's going to be a fun one. At least I certainly hope so. I think it's going to end strong, because it deserves to. It's been consistently. I think out of 5, I would give it like 4s at the moment. So this one, I would drop it down to probably a 3.
Yeah, 3 or like a 2.5. But we deserve this last episode to be glorious, Purple, and the viewers out there. So fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed, and we will find out next week. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed our little kind of review of episode 5 of Moon Knight. If you do, leave us a comment, let me know, or let us know what you think, and hopefully you will join us again next week for the final episode.
See y'all then.
Take care, guys.